So in the wake of the arrests made at Starbucks, the wrongful arrests, Starbucks is making some adjustments and some changes. Starbucks plans to close more than 8,000 locations next month so that employees can receive racial bias education after 2 black men were arrested at one of the chain's stores. We covered that story just a few days ago on this same channel, so please check that out. Starbucks CEO Kevin Johnson met with the men who were arrested while they waited for a friend at a cafe in Philadelphia. Here's a little bit more on the training. The company said that the training would aim to address implicit bias, teach employees how to prevent discrimination, and promote conscious inclusion. Employees will receive the training and the stores will close for the afternoon of May 29th. So that said, there's also a really interesting article from the Daily Dot, a little bit about allyship, because the reason why this story went viral was because a white woman who recognized her privilege was documenting the event and then posted it on Twitter. Now, she has since said that she didn't expect the incident to go as viral, but it's really sort of a teachable moment as what we can do as white people, people who are not of color,
people who have privilege,
people who have certain levels of privilege, to just act correctly. And here are some of the breakdowns, but I would also really urge you guys to check out, there's this awesome video from 3 years ago from Jessica Lee, 5 tips on being an ally, and she does an awesome job, so check that out. But here's from the Daily Dot, they say it's important to speak up, which in the case of Melissa DePino, who posted the video from Starbucks, she was both speaking and documenting the event. Basically, you just wanna make sure that you're audible and saying that this is wrong, ask questions. There's another video that went viral from the Oregonian about a woman who was filming and questioning ICE agents who were basically just racially profiling a man in a neighborhood.
And that's important to do that because when the police make the reports, they can't go and say, well, there was no conflicting reports of what was going on here.
Right.
So if more people stand up and they start saying like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? That's not going to look good for the cops.
Yeah. Another tip that they had in here was don't necessarily call the police. Basically, viewing the police as a last resort, because that doesn't necessarily always de-escalate the situation.
This one's huge when I read this one because it's so ingrained in our culture right now that if something goes wrong, you got to call the police, and we know what happens when you call the police. It's never anything good.
Yeah, it shouldn't. So be
this is a big cultural paradigm shift for us to undertake, but I think it would be super helpful if we started doing that.
The US has the most incarcerated individuals, and to remember that in other countries, a lot of the way that we deal with situations, calling 911 would be dealt with by social workers or there are other agencies that would take the place of just calling 911 and immediately ramping that up.
So caveat on that, like there's obviously certain situations where you should call the police.
Of course,
like rape, murder, like physical violence, stuff like that.
But basically they say when we are faced with mortal danger, not when we are uncertain. So in the case of Starbucks, they were, I mean, I don't even.
Yeah, like
Was there danger?
No.
There was no danger.
Someone was irritated and they called the cops.
Right. And then I think most importantly, center those affected by the struggle. And this comes from Collier Meyerson, from Splinter. She wrote a piece called Dear White Friends, Here's How to Support Black Lives Matter Without Making It About You. And here's just an excerpt from that. While the role of white participants in Black Lives Matter shouldn't be left to black organizers to figure out, black Americans have had to contend with racism, and it isn't the responsibility of blacks to show whites how to be good allies and comrades. While activists and sympathizers to the Black Lives Matter cause should take a page from the white activists of the civil rights movement, that black people are the leaders, that the movement is centered around them, that glorifying white participation in a black-led movement is gauche and unhelpful, that this isn't about white people. I think that was really well said. And then finally, and I think kind of obviously, record the incident and reinforce the truth, which is kind of basically what we were talking about in Speak Up in part 1. Basically saying, record the incident. We all have cell phones these days, so it's important to use those and reinforce the truth throughout it so that there can be no, you can't say later on like, well, both sides, or some people were saying this, some people were saying this, like you're there, you're witnessing, you know what the truth is. So hopefully this is all.
Quick last thing, do you think that Starbucks closing down most of their stores to teach their employees about this is gonna help at all?
I think we'll have to see. I certainly think it's a step in the right direction.
It seems to me, I mean, it is a systemic thing, but like it's also an individual person thing where, I don't know, it's super frustrating. I wish we could talk about it more.
I wish we could too. We have to go, but we want to hear from you guys. Share your thoughts.